Robinson still in control. Play for Smith, and saved by Bailey. My word, what a remarkable finish.
And then the replay was a one-horse race.
I'm glad to say I've never felt so relaxed in a cup final, sitting in that dressing room at half-time 3-0 up. And that was a great feeling to be sitting in there 3-0. And I can always remember Ron Atkinson turning around to the lads and he's going, you know, come on, the first 20 minutes, you've got to start well in the second half. He says, otherwise they can get back into his game. And I was sitting there thinking, we're cruising.
Wilkins. Orbiston to Whiteside. Orbiston again, low in for Davis, who've got a good position. Robson! That's the goal that Manchester United wanted from their captain after 25 minutes. Oh, McQueen was doing some climbing there, surely. This is Davis. Turned it in for Whiteside! Muren takes the kick. And the header by Robson finds Stapleton. McQueen made a touch, and it's been fired in! Bryan Robson gets his second, and Manchester United's third. It was so easy for Robson then. And Stapleton. Robson has charged forward through the inside right position. Oh, and he's got behind. Was he held? The linesman flagged penalty. Penalty. Stevens on Robson. And before the match started, Arnold Muren volunteered to take the kicks because Steve Coppell, the regular penalty taker, is injured. Now, Arnold Muren hasn't taken a penalty before for either Ipswich or Manchester United. But he scores with his left foot and makes it 4-0. Manchester United, the most famous club in football, have won only their second major trophy in 15 years.
Let's touch briefly on 1985. We talk about history. Of course, there was a bit of infamous history made against Everton with Kevin Moran becoming the first player to be sent off in a cup final. That really was a win against the odds.
It was a very harsh decision, you know, in a cup final, and for Kevin Moran now to be the only player to be sent off in a cup final, I mean, it wasn't as if it was that nasty of a foul, and it wasn't as if it was so deliberate. I mean, there was a fraction of an inch, you know, towards either getting the ball or not getting the ball. Even Peter Reid held his hands up after the game and said that.
The fact that it was Kevin as well.
Yeah,
it was not that
type of player. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it was the referee's last game, wasn't it? Which I think the FA now changed the policy of giving it as a thank you for so many years' service. They actually just give it to the best referee. As Peter Willis has done many years' service, and it was thanks, all the best.
But still, Manchester United playing with great pluck and intelligence, get the ball out, and they've made their own openings already in extra time, and this fellow Hughes is coming into it more and more, and here's Whiteside. Strachan is following up. Olsen on this side. That's all he's got. Whiteside shoots. It's there! Norman Whiteside has done it again. Embraced by his colleagues after putting Manchester United in front with a goal out of nothing.
I thought he was a great player, Norman. I thought he was so intelligent. I mean, he didn't have the greatest pace in the world, but such a great player to have in your team. As we said around the table earlier on, he's probably done more than most players will ever hope to do. I'm sure there's players would hope to have the same experiences that Norman's had, to play the youngest player in the World Cup and to score in 3 Wembley finals.
Yeah, he would have been one of the greats if it hadn't been for his injury
problems. Yeah.
He came over, I think the first time I saw him, we used to have an open day at Old Trafford in the summer. I don't know whether that still happens. And we had a five-a-side tournament between England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and Norman came over. He was 14, and this big giant come in. He had his skinhead haircut, and like, he just scored 14, and he came and again scored McQueen's, all the internationals everywhere, and he rattled in goal after goal in this little five-a-side tournament.
We can't finish talking about the United Cup wins without referring to your part against Steve's team in the replay. And you, with Bryan as well, were both sort of fighting to get fit at the latter stages of that cup run after lengthy absences.
Yeah, well, at the time when I was injured for 6 months, it was something that I could never imagine that would happen, that I would finish on a FA Cup winning side at the end of the season. And but when I looked up for the pass, it was the last person I expected to see was Lee Martin running down there. But he finished it very well, actually. It didn't miss the post by much either. I've watched it on the replay, and it didn't miss the post by very much, but it was the only goal that we needed, so that was good.
And now McClare, he's into the centre much more than the second half. You know, he's moved in from the right-hand side, Bryan McClare, and he's having some good play and some good touches. This is Wallace. Webb. Lee Martin from left back, an inspired run on the far side. A chance here, and a goal!
Bryan, I remember you telling me after the win that you'd done very little between the two games because you'd had so few matches. You had to spend a lot of time resting.
Yeah, that's right, but I think the nervous energy and everything that you get on a cup final day as well, you burn up more than what you would normally do, you know, as far as your fitness is concerned. And so from the Saturday game, I mean, all of our players, we did nothing up until the Thursday.
Couldn't do nothing.
No, we couldn't really. But I can remember a few of Steve's team saying that they'd been on this commando training, and you know, they were fitter than us because they did finish the game, the first game. They finished stronger than us. But I thought that the lads came back even stronger in the second game, and in the replay I thought we looked the stronger team.
Always in games you get feelings, and I think sometimes even though you played badly and you might just nick a result, you just feel as if you're going to nick it. And when we were winning with, what, 7-8 minutes to go, I couldn't feel it. I still couldn't convince myself that we were going to win 3-2. So I was always on edge, and it was like two fighters on the ropes after 15 rounds. Like, we were punched out, and yet to be fair, like, I've seen the game, I've watched it once, the first game, I've watched it once, and Bryan says that we finished the stronger. I think, in actual fact, they finished the stronger. But like after the game, we were sort of clinging to anything to try and, you know, immediately I was trying to think of what can we do to get it right for Thursday, and, you know, the first thing I said was, oh, you finished that one stronger. And that was the impression that came out in all the papers, and as Bryan said, the lads, you know, a few of them were saying, well, we finished stronger and we'll do better on Thursday. But in reality, I think United finished stronger.
The replay presents Alec Ferguson with a crucial dilemma, which he solves by replacing Jim Leighton with Les Sealey.
Yeah, that was cruel, but it was a key.
It was cruel, but it was important.
You're always looking, you know, I'm a realist about these things. If we play United, if we played United last season, then, you know, in 10 games they'd have won 6 or 7, I think, without being too pessimistic about it. And we always had a little bit of chink of daylight. There was always a sign of weakness. And then to have that taken away from us in the replay.
Knocked your confidence a wee bit, did it?
A very brave decision by the manager, and I think in hindsight, obviously, it's a right decision.
When did you hear, Neil, that the change was made in goal? It came as a shock to everybody outside the club. And
well, we all found out, well, I did personally, on the night before, the Wednesday night, when we all sat down for a meal. And Jim, I think Jim stayed in his room, and Bryan McClare told us because he was rooming, and it was a shock because you wouldn't want wish it on anyone to be dropped from a cup final.
Did you expect it, Neil?
We'd heard rumours, but I didn't expect him to actually do it. It was, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, like, you know, and it's very disappointing. And then afterwards, when you're all trying to celebrate and Jim's in the dressing room, it's very...
Well, that was done a little bit for the media at the cup final, the first game. At the end of the game, the guy says to me, would you change the goalkeeper in the final? Because he had a poor game, the lad, unfortunately. I mean, you feel for any player that has a bad game. I said, well, if United want to win the game, they'll have to change the goalkeeper. That was the way I felt after the game.
Told me a lot about the gaffer. It just meant if you don't play well, you get dropped no matter what.
No matter who you are.
Manchester derbies will always have a special place in players' memories, and there have been none more dramatic than the one played at Main Road in 1971.
McElroy to West. The crowd not liking it because they think that he got booked. Kids cross, O'Neill, Best, and McElroy! Holding to Bobby Charlton. Best free on the left. Here he is, put in by a good pass from Charlton. McElroy steps over it and Kidd scores. No trouble. Look. Francis Lee pushing it on for Mella. Lee held back. A chance for Francis Lee to score his 7th penalty of the season and bring his total to 14 goals and to put Manchester City back into the game. That's the weight on Lee's shoulders, and it doesn't worry him in the least. Lee, beautiful ball for Bell. Here it is. Bobby Charlton with the corner. Corrigan's fist. Aston. And it's gone in off cover. Summerby. Good shot! Mike Summerby, a magnificent shot, but you will go a long, long way before you'll see a better save than that from Stepney. Stepney there outside his far post, having really produced the save of the match and one of the saves of the season. And he's there again and lost it. Summerby!
We were all pals together in Manchester at that particular time. We didn't really go out with each other, but if we did meet each other anywhere, we would go and have a drink together or we'd join each other's company. But you wouldn't really be seen to go out with each other because you couldn't. It wouldn't go down too well in the city, strangely. But Mike was a great lad. Mike had, unfortunately, had a big nose and people took the mickey out of him, and it was quite fortunate one day at Old Trafford. He was down at the far end at the Stretford and the crowd were giving him some stick about his nose, and he walked up to the corner flag and wiped his nose on it. Which was funny.
Like, I enjoyed Manchester derbies. Like, it is a good atmosphere to play in. Great day. Good day for the crowd. And although it's a very tense occasion, I think once the game settles down, there's usually good football played. There's normally a lot of goals as well.
Bracken. Thomas. McElroy will take it and go through the gap. Corrigan out to meet him. If he can put it back, he's got Crerand up into the 6-yard box. Comes to Coppell. And it went in even though Corrigan got a touch to it. It taken by Jimmy Greenough on for Coppell. He did well. A brilliant goal. That is a superb goal by Steve Coppell. Oh, he clipped that at such a lovely angle. Macari, McElroy, Ritchie! And the youngster can celebrate his debut in the derby match.
Neil, you haven't had much experience of derby games, but you have, of course, been back to play against your old club, Nottingham Forest.
Most memorable experience that was last year. 4-0 down after 15 minutes, I believe. And it was funny, like, because Piercy come up to me before the game and he says, you do know what I'm going to tell you, don't you? And I says, yeah. I said, who is, like, someone's going to kick me, like, or two players are just going to kick me regardless. So I said, well, who are they, like, you know? And he says, oh, Gary Crosby and Nigel Jempson. I mean, they must be the smallest players and they don't tackle, like. And Nigel Jempson followed me around for the whole second. He wouldn't go past my side because every time I got the ball, he just tried to do me from behind. And I kept jumping out the way and getting the ball and jumping out the way. And in the end, Cloughie substituted him because he didn't kick me enough. And that's true that he got these two players to just kick me. Piercy refused to do it, thankfully.
You wouldn't be here.
Well, no, I mean...
Piercy was disappointed that he didn't get that.
But, I mean, that's just Cloughie. I mean, the referee did brilliant for me, so he actually said that I know what's going on, so it wasn't a problem.
Can you put into words the difference between working for Alec Ferguson now and Brian Clough?
Well, I think with Brian Clough, obviously it is something to do with a little bit of fear. I mean, what he rules at Nottingham Forest with a rod of iron. They haven't actually got a chairman there. So what he says goes. He signs players without the chairman knowing, and then tells him how much he's spent. That's how he signed me. He signed players on blank. I actually signed a blank contract when I joined Nottingham Forest.